Good morning, everyone. It's me, Coffee Stitcher. First Sunday in March. Already made it to March. Hmm. All right, so we've got some Q&A today. Don't have any haul, but we do have Q&A. And I've got whip updates to show you, and discussions for next week, as well as the March tentative. I don't know why I put tentative in air quotes. The tentative March plans for Magical Stitches. All right, so let's dive on in. The first question comes from Robin B. She asks, question about the Aurifil floss. Are you in a club, or did you start buying it to build a stash of your floss? The answer to that, actually, I'm an official Aurifil artisan, which means they supply it to me to use. So when I first started, I tried to just kit up specific projects, but because of the ship times from Italy, sometimes it was taking a little too long, so I discussed it with them and ordered that's why I got the best selections. That way I could at least have something, a starting point for most things that I would want to start. And then I can go back and requisition what I need to fill in the rest of the colors. Which means that I'm probably going to have to start being being about a month ahead on my new moon, new starts. Which means I should probably go ahead and do that this week. That way I can request anything I don't have. Yeah. That would be a good idea. So that's what I do. That's how I get mine. I know Fat Quarter Shop offers it. I know there are several sellers on Etsy that offer it. And Aurifil does have a shop, but they don't sell individual spools, unfortunately. I've tried suggesting it, and that was not met terribly well, unfortunately. But so the best I can recommend is probably Fat Quarter or Etsy. Deborah Dixon asks, please can we have the Summer Princess next? The Summer Princess, I believe that's Anna from Frozen. I don't have her stuff kitted up. That's why the ones I mentioned, they're the ones that I've already got ready to go. So, or with at least enough forethought to be able to put them together. She also asked, do you have a plan for where you will put them? My plan is once they're all done, I want to have them finished like on a canvas versus in a frame, and then do sort of a gallery wall somewhere. I have no idea where, but somewhere. At least that's the idea. Which answers Susie Kruger's question of how am I going to finish it? She also asked, have I seen the market release from Tiny Modernist? The answer is yes, I have. Theoretically, Oliver should have it in his hot little hands, because I literally told him that was the only thing he absolutely had to return with from market for me. That the rest I could wait until later, but that I needed that. Not that I'll start until I finish Secret Garden, but Kara Dayoff. I kind of burned myself out on that particular project, the Disney map. I may go back to it, I may not. I honestly don't know. But I just haven't wanted to work on it, and so I haven't. Chelsea Olish, I'll try to remember the next time I wear that shirt. It's in the wash right now. To show it in full, it is a Disney villain one. It was sold at, I think, Target a couple of years ago in the men's section, interestingly. But it says baddies, and it's got Maleficent, the Evil Queen, Cruella, and Ursula on it. So, but I'll try to remember the next time I wear it to show it in full. To your next question, she says, when you start your new moon projects, are you randomly choosing what to start or basing on the month, so to speak? Like maybe starting something more summer in June, etc. The answer to that is I went through and my things that I'd already kitted up but hadn't started, as well as went through and picked things that I hadn't kitted but I did want to start. And I put them on a tiny decisions wheel called New Start. Now, I did pay for it so that I had the option to put the weights, which you can sort of see there. Because there are some of these that, like, for instance, what's my ones I've got in there? Well, okay, for instance, I had Brooke's Cinderella, Kegua, and Belle already on my list, and Snow White. I weighted them while I was working on hers at a 1, because I didn't want it to come up, because I don't try to have too many, so it lets me sort of narrow things down a little that way. But then in fact, let's go ahead, since I was saying that I need to try to start things up anyways. We'll just go ahead and spin the wheel. And I did put a K after, which is more for myself than anything. I put a K after the ones that had, I put a K after the ones that are kits, so that I knew I didn't need to go do any kitting. So we'll just go ahead and spin for the one, because there are 2 in April. The next 2 up are April 1st and April 30th. So go ahead and spin twice. I'm going to make a note here so I know what to do. This is kind of fun. Okay, so first spin is gonna be Bucolic Dream. And then the next one is a kit. It's Shore Sampler. All right, so that means I only have to try to kit up 1. So that's how I do it. I did post on Instagram about a week ago a process with Aurifil and going through to pick colors for Twilight Woods. More on that to come. So you can sort of see how I do all that. So I thought that would be a really good useful thing. Sarah R. asks a question about the Secret Garden from Stitching Book Club. She's concerned because she wants to use a lighter brown fabric, and she's afraid that the keyhole and the hasps, which that's the little gate hinge things, are too dark. And is there a lighter color? The hasps were in 3021, so I would actually maybe scale those back to maybe 844. That's, I think, the next tone lighter. If you don't want to do 844, if that's still too dark, then I would go maybe 535. And for that, I actually used Thread-Bear has a DMC matching tool you put in the color you want, or you find it on the list, and then it gives you the next closest or lighter and darker. So that would kind of be my suggestion there, is do the step down from that, and probably doing the 3031 for the keyhole might work as well. I actually did not stitch in the keyhole. I left it just open, because I also thought it was a little too dark. I also was at a point where I just wanted to be finished, and that was the last thing I had, and so I decided I could leave that blank, and it would be just fine. I made the executive decision. All right. So that Beez the Q&A. Okay, so, and I just realized I left my list of, so, I will not be going over the Magical Stitches stuff, because it's in another room. I didn't prepare for that quite like I thought I did, but that's okay. Alright, so what did I work on this week? Well, my work project, which is also my Stitch Asia project, is Anne Frank by Gera. And I'm stitching it on this random purple Joblin that I had. Because in some Asian cultures, purple is representative of hope. And given what's going on in the world currently, that seemed appropriate. So here's the piece. I've decided not to do the barbed wire or the planes. And here's where I'm at. So the 3811 and the word peace, as well as the 3811 up here and that little bit there. So that's what I did all this week. And the pink, too. So, there's a little bit left down here of the apartment, and then I'll be at the bottom of the apartment building. So my plan for this week is to try to finish as much of the apartment as I can, which should be fairly simple because there's really not a lot left of the apartment. And then I'll start on the flowers and such on the sides. So, which hopefully will get me to a Stitch Asia finish. And if so, then probably what I'll do is I'll switch over. I was thinking I would try and start another Stitch Asia piece, but I may go ahead and switch to the Stitchy Crane. I did start Baba Yaga. I did not like the way the coloring was turning out on it, so that went away. I'm actually going to be starting Magical Swamp. And I will be kitting that. I've got it kitted up. I'll be starting it a little bit later in the month, I think. Magical Swamp, and it's by Stitchy Princess Black, or Stitchy Princess. It's the frog one that a lot of people are doing. This one here. So, that's what I'll be starting for Stitchy Crane, as of now. So, alright, so what else did I work on this week? Well, I am so glad you asked. So, Sunday, I caught myself up on Souvenir. This is the Victoria Sampler freebie that's on Facebook. This week's part requires number 12 pearl, and I don't have any in a white or in a color that I wanted to use for this, so I've got to get that before I can do that, which that's fine because I also need that up here for the herring, or for the cut work. So, but this is basically the halfway point. All right. I started Seize the Day because we were supposed to work on something that involved tea, and I thought, oh, well, boat, like the Boston Tea Party. And I really don't enjoy working on that project. I just don't. So it has officially been UFO'd. I will salvage the fabric, because there really wasn't that much done. So instead, I decided to use Wicked Siblings instead, because there are mushrooms, and you can make tea from mushrooms. You can also make tea from leaves, and there's leaves all over the thing. And then I also used it for the second prompt, which was something kind of sketchy, because those two twins are a little sketchy looking. And that finished out the bottom part. So, This is by Mama Witch Cross Stitch on a one-off from Fortnite Fabrics. So next month I'll start up on this side. So my plan is to stitch the ghosties last, because the ghosties are my favorite. But for reference, here is the pattern. That is the actual pattern. Let me find the photo of it. So there we go. So next month's plan is going to be to come up here and do those leaves and that thing and start it on this tree. So we're getting there. We're probably about a third of the way done, I would guess. Okay, so then we had the New Moon, New Start, which is Twilight Woods. And while I did go through all of that to determine a color palette, then I got to double thinking myself. So really there's a whole bunch more colors that have been added, and I'm just going to use the ones that feel appropriate where they feel appropriate. So this is by Wishing Thorn. Here is the pattern itself. I'm stitching this on a one-off from Beez Stitch Me, because I also changed the fabric. And here it is. So this is with Aurifil. So that's what I got done. I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be, I think, really, really pretty when it gets finished. So it will actually be staying in the rotation since I had the UFO that sort of allowed it to stay. So I'll be excited to watch this one grow. All right, then Narnia came out. So I finished part 2 of Narnia from Stitching Book Club. So the next part, or the last part, will come out in 3 weeks. It comes out the last full week, so the week of the 20th. So this is about roughly how big it'll be when finished. So this time we added the crown and the names and this little bit here. So basically from here down was what we added. I used metallic to backstitch their names, and metallic on the name, and then I used obviously gold metallic for those parts. I am still going to be adding beads to it towards the end, but that'll be that'll be actually once it's finished. We've got about 10 stitches between here and then the actual bottom. I'm kind of thinking, since there's browns and grays we haven't used, that we're probably going to see like the lamppost and maybe the wardrobe itself. But we shall see. I'm looking forward to it, whatever we get. Maybe the stone table. And this is on Couture from Fortnite Fabrics. And I have no clue how to finish this one either. Alright, so then that leads me to what I worked on. After that I worked on the Satsuma Street Alice. I did this part last night, so I may actually go ahead and finish this part out this month. So I'm going to work on, obviously I'll be working on this one today. This week's prompt was to work on something that reminded you of a sampler. So I will be working, or work on a sampler. So I'm going to be working on Count Your Blessings. This is from Annie B's Folk Art. Here's where I'm at on it. And I'm going to be working this top part up here. So let me show you what that part is. It's on a blue fabric from Ship's Manor. So I'm going to be working on this part here. So should be good. Should be fairly easy. My goal was to kind of finish that quarter anyways. So I think that should be fairly achievable. So, and then after that, the next part of Little Red Riding Hood comes out this month, or this week. It comes out on Thursday. So, after Alice and after Count Your Blessings, depending on where I'm at, I may work on something. I've got, all the different monthly ones to work on. So we'll kind of see what happens. So, but for sure, Thursday and probably Friday and probably part of Saturday will be on Little Red Riding Hood. So, yep. So anyhow, that's it for me today. I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Stay safe. And I will see you all next week. Bye.